Russia competed at the 2016 Summer Olympics in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, from 5 to the 21st of August 2016. This was the nation's sixth consecutive appearance at the Summer Olympics as an independent nation. On the 18th of July 2016, an independent investigation commissioned by World Anti-Doping Agency reported that Russia's Ministry of Sport and Federal Security Service had operated a state-dictated system to implement an extensive doping program and to cover up positive samples. Based on these findings, the International Olympics Committee called for an emergency meeting to consider banning Russia from the Summer Olympics. On the 24th of July 2016, the International Olympics Committee announced that Russian athletes are eligible to compete at the Games only if they can show that they had not been doping before the Games, unlike participants of any other nationality. Originally, Russia submitted a list of 389 athletes for competition. On the 7th of August 2016, the IOC cleared 278 athletes, while 111 were removed because of the scandal. Medalists' participation requirements due to doping allegations. In 2015, due to allegations of an extensive state-sponsored doping program in the Russian Federation, the World Anti-Doping Agency commissioned an investigation into the accusations. The report of this investigation was published in November 2015, reported widespread doping as well as actions between coaches and official testing laboratories to cover it up. On the 9th of November 2015, and based on its findings, WADA announced that it was Russia's obligation to implement an effective anti-doping program compliant with the World Anti-Doping Code. In regards to specific allegations against the All-Russia Athletic Federation, WADA announced that the International Association of Athletics Federations should not allow any RAF track and field athletes to compete in international sporting events, including all Russian athletes never found positive in any test until that organization became compliant with the WADC. On the 21st of June 2016, due to Russia's National Anti-Doping Organization having been declared non-compliant with the World Anti-Doping Code, the International Olympic Committee decided that the eligibility of all athletes to compete in the 2016 Olympics should be based on an individual, case-by-case basis by the international federation governing each sport. The IOC affirmed an earlier special circumstance decision by the International Association of Athletics Federations banning all of the All-Russia Athletic Federation track and field athletes from competing in 2016 Olympics. On the 18th of July 2016, the World Anti-Doping Agency presented a second, more detailed report, finding that Russia's Ministry of Sport and Federal Security Service had operated a state-dictated system to implement an extensive doping program and to cover up positive samples. The report was conducted by Richard McLaren, a Canadian law professor appointed by WADA. Based on his finding, the International Olympics Committee called for an emergency meeting to consider banning Russia from the Summer Olympics. On the 24th of July 2016, the IOC Executive Committee decided against completely banning Russian participation and instead decided to set additional, stricter requirements for all Russian participants entered into the Olympic Games. Under these exceptional circumstances, Russian athletes in any of the 28 Olympic summer sports have to assume the consequences of what amounts to a collective responsibility in order to protect the credibility of the Olympic competitions, and the presumption of innocence cannot be applied to them. On the other hand, according to the rules of natural justice, individual justice, to which every human being is entitled, has to be applied. This means that each affected athlete must be given the opportunity to rebut the applicability of collective responsibility in his or her individual case. The IOC Executive Board specified that in order to be admitted, every participant would need to be evaluated by the International Federation of the sport she was entered to compete in. Unlike participants of any other nationality, the federation has to evaluate participants individually based on World Anti-Doping Code and other principles decided by the IOC, and cannot take into account doping tests undertaken by Russian anti-doping authorities, but only reliable, adequate international tests. Furthermore, Russian athletes with a previous anti-doping decision cannot participate, even after the sanction has been served. Again, unlike participants of any other nationality, the positive evaluation of every eligible participant is to be confirmed by a CAS arbitrator, which is independent from any sports organization involved in the Olympic Games Rio 2016. On the 30th of July 2016, the IOC specified that following each federation's positive evaluation and its arbitration approval, a three-person IOC panel would be making the final decision. Originally, Russia submitted a list of 389 athletes for competition. On the 7th of August 2016, the IOC cleared 278 athletes, while 111 were removed because of the scandal. Athletics. On the 17th of June 2016, the International Association of Athletics Federations announced that Russia will not be permitted to field competitors in athletics due to the November 2015 doping-related temporary suspension of the All-Russia Athletic Federation from the IAAF, due to state-sponsored doping. Only Russian athletes tested mainly outside of the country under stringent measures would be allowed to participate in the 2016 Olympics. On the 21st of June 2016, the International Olympic Committee upheld the decision of the IAAF and banned ARAF from competing at the Summer Olympics. 1 month later, the Court of Arbitration for Sport rejected separate ARAF and 68 claimant athletes' appeals of the IAAF decision. On the 24th of July 2016, the IOC rejected the IAAF and the World Anti-Doping Agency recommendation that if allowed, Russian athletes could only compete as neutral athletes under the Olympic flag. Under Olympic rules, only nationally selected athletes could compete in the Olympics. Out of the 68 ARAF-submitted athletes, only Darya Kulishina was allowed to compete. Weightlifting. Russian weightlifters had qualified the reduced maximum of 6 men's and 4 women's quota places for the Rio Olympics based on their combined team standing by points at the 2014 and 2015 IWF World Championships. On the 22nd of June 2016, the International Weightlifting Federation announced that Russia would lose 2 quota places in weightlifting at the 2016 Olympics because of doping violations. IWF then went on to state that if the testing of B samples proved to confirm that any country had 3 or more violations in the 2008 and 2012 Olympic retesting program, then that country would be suspended from international weightlifting for a period of 1 year, and would thereby be excluded from taking part in the Rio Olympics, alongside the already suspended Bulgaria. IWF clarified that after retesting air samples from 2008 and 2012 that the 3 countries thereby scheduled for suspension were Kazakhstan, Russia and Belarus. Russia appealed the decision to the Court of Arbitration for Sport on 6 July 2016. On 29 July 2016, the International Weightlifting Federation issued a statement, stating that the integrity of the weightlifting sport has been seriously damaged on multiple times and levels by the Russians. Therefore, an appropriate sanction was applied in order to preserve the status of the sport. The IWF noted that 4 further retests from Russian medalists at the 2012 Games had come back positive, that 2 of the Russian team had been withdrawn for previous bans in accordance with the IOC decision of 24 July 2016, and that of the remaining 6 entries from Russia, 4 were implicated in the disappearing positive methodology uncovered by the McLaren report into state-sanctioned doping. IWF expressed its extreme shock and disappointment at the statistics, stated that the Russian weightlifting had brought the sport into disrepute, and then sanctioned Russian weightlifting with a complete ban from the Games, and to Belgique, Croatia, El Salvador, Mongolia and Serbia. The ban was upheld by the ad hoc division of the Court of Arbitration for Sports. Banned athletes competitors. Archery. Russian archers qualified for the women's events after having secured a top 8 finish in the team recurve at the 2015 World Archery Championships in Copenhagen, Denmark. The archery team was named to the Olympic roster on 13 July 2016. On 25 July 2016, World Archery Federation announced that, following the criteria set down for the entry of Russian athletes at the 2016 Summer Olympics, that the 3 archers competing for Russia had been deemed eligible, having undertaken a significant number of anti-doping tests and procedures outside Russia, both in and out of competition. On 4 August 2016, the IOC cleared all of the archers to participate. Athletics. Keynote ranks given for track events are within the athlete's heat only. Q equals qualified for the next round. Q equals qualified for the next round as a fastest loser or, in field events, by position without achieving the qualifying target. Near equals national record. NA equals round not applicable for the event. By equals athlete not required to compete in round. Women field events. Badminton. Russia has qualified 4 badminton players for each of the following events into the Olympic tournament. Vladimir Malkov and Natalia Permanova were selected among the top 34 individual shuttlers each in the men's and women's singles, while London 2012 Olympians Vladimir Ivanov and Ivan Sozonov secured the men's doubles spot by virtue of the top 16 finish in the Badminton World Federation World Rankings as of 5 May 2016. On 28 July 2016, BFW cleared all 4 athletes for competition. Boxing. Russia has entered 11 boxers to compete in the following weight classes into the Olympic boxing tournament. Vladimir Nikitin and Adlan Abdurashidov were the only Russians finishing among the top 2 of the respective division in the World Series of Boxing, while 3 further boxers did so in the AIBA Pro Boxing Series. Vasily Yegorov, Vitaly Dunaytsev, and Evgeny Tishchenko had claimed their Olympic spots at the 2015 World Championships. Yaroslava Yakushina and Anastasia Belyukova were the only 2 Russian women to book their Olympic spots with a semi-final victory at the 2016 European Qualification Tournament in Samsun, Turkey, and with a quarter-final victory at the Women's World Championships in Astana, Kazakhstan, respectively. Meanwhile, Petr Karmukov secured an additional place on the Russian roster with his quarter-final triumph at the 2016 AIBA World Qualifying Tournament in Baku, Azerbaijan. All of the boxes were cleared for competition 1 day prior to the opening ceremony. However, Tishenko's final match and Nikitin's quarter-final match are controversial due to questionable refereeing decisions, which led to the suspensions of the referees in question. Nikitin was forced to withdraw from his semi-final bout against Shaka Stevenson due to cuts he sustained in his previous bouts. He received a bronze medal. Men/Women Canoeing Slalom. Russian canoeists have qualified a maximum of 1 boat in each of the following classes through the 2015 ICF Canoe Slalom World Championships. The slalom canoeing team, including 4 returning Olympians from London 2012, was selected to the Russian roster at the 2016 European Championships on the 15th of May 2016. Sprint. Russian canoeists have qualified a total of 10 boats in each of the following distances for the Games through the 2015 ICF Canoe Sprint World Championships. Meanwhile, 1 additional boat was awarded to the Russian squad in men's K1 1000 meters by virtue of a top 2 national finish at the 2016 European Qualification Regatta in Duisburg, Germany. As a response to the multiple positive cases of doping by Belarus and Romania, 2 further spare boats were accepted by the Russian team to round out the roster size to 10. A total of 14 sprint canoeists were named to the Russian roster for the Games on the 15th of July 2016, with Alexander Dyachenko and Yuri Postrigay looking to defend the men's sprint kayak double title at the Rio Regatta. On the 26th of July 2016, the International Canoe Federation announced that 5 selected Russian sprint canoeists, namely Yelena Enyushina, Natalia Podolskaya, Alexander Dyachenko, Andrei Kretu and Alexei Gorovashko, had been implicated in the disappearing positive methodology set out in the McLaren report on the nation's state-sponsored doping. As a result, the Russian entries in the men's C1 200 meters, men's C2 1000 meters, and men's K2 200 meters, along with the women's events, were removed, with 4 of the quota places being provisionally reallocated to the different NOCs: women's K2 500 meters to Austria, women's K1 200 meters to Germany, men's K2 200 meters to Sweden and men's C1 200 meters to Iran. Kretu's decision was reconsidered and was allowed to compete a day before the opening of the Games. Men/Women Qualification Legend. FA equals qualify to final, FB equals qualify to final B. Cycling. Road. Russian riders qualified for the following quota places in the men's and women's Olympic road race by virtue of the top 15 final national ranking in the 2015 UCI Europe Tour and top 22 in the 2016 UCI World Ranking. The road cycling team, highlighted by 2-time bronze medalist Olga Zabelinskaya from London 2012, was named to the Olympic roster on the 26th of June 2016. On the 26th of July 2016, UCI announced that 3 cyclists with previous bans had been withdrawn by ROC, these including Ilnur Sakharin, Olga Zabelinskaya and track rider Sergei Shilov. A further 3 unnamed riders were implicated in the disappearing positive methodology uncovered by Richard McLaren's report into State-Sanctioned Doping. On the 5th of August 2016, the date of the opening ceremony, Zabelinskaya's, Shilov's and Zakharin's bans were reversed and they were cleared to compete. Track. Following the completion of the 2016 UCI Track Cycling World Championships, Russian riders have accumulated spots in the men's team pursuit and women's team sprint. As a result of the place in the women's team sprint, Russia has assured its right to enter 2 riders in the women's sprint and Kirin Although Russia failed to earn a place in the men's team sprint, they managed to secure a single berth in the men's keirin and 2 more in the men's sprint, by virtue of the final individual UCI Olympic rankings in those events. On the 26th of July 2016, UCI announced that 3 cyclists with previous bans had been withdrawn by ROC, these including track rider Sergei Shilov. A further 3 unnamed riders were implicated in the disappearing positive methodology uncovered by Richard McLaren's report into state-sanctioned doping. The UCI confirmed that the men's pursuit team from which Shilov was excluded would be allowed to replace him only from the existing pool of accepted athletes. The following day, 2 further track cyclists, Kirill Sveshnikov and Dmitry Sokolov, were named as implicated in the methodology and withdrawn, placing the Russian entry in the men's team pursuit in doubt. Sprint team sprint keirin mountain biking. Russia has qualified 1 mountain biker for the women's Olympic cross-country race, as a result of her nation's 9th place finish in the UCI Olympic ranking list of the 25th of May 2016. Due to the lack of eligible NOCs for Oceania on the list, the unused berth was added to the Russian mountain biking team as the next highest-ranked nation, not yet qualified, in the men's cross-country race. Beijing 2008 bronze medalist Irina Kalontieva and rookie Anton Sintsov were named to Russia's mountain biking team for the Games on 3 July 2016. BMX. Russian riders qualified for 1 men's and 1 women's quota place for BMX at the Olympics, as a result of the nation's 7th place finish for women in the UCI Olympic ranking list and top 4 for men in the UCI BMX individual ranking list of the 31st of May 2016. The BMX riders were named to the Olympic roster on 3 June 2016. Diving. Russian divers qualified for the following individual and synchronized team spots at the Olympics through the 2015 FINA World Championships and 2016 FINA World Cup Series. The diving team, headlined by London 2012 springboard champion Ilya Zakharov, was named to the Olympic roster at the Russian Championships in Penza on the 11th of June 2016. In regards to the doping scandal, the FINA Federation cleared all Russian divers for competition. Men-Women Equestrian. Russia has fielded a composite squad of 3 riders into the Olympic team eventing by virtue of the following results in the individual FEI Olympic rankings: a top finish from Central and Eastern Europe and Central Asia, and 2 top 9 finishes from the combined overall Olympic rankings. 2 dressage riders have been added to the squad into the Olympic equestrian competition by virtue of a top 2 finish from Central and Eastern Europe in the individual FEI Olympic rankings. In regards to doping, on the 4th of August 2016, the IOC cleared all of the riders to participate in the competition. Dressage eventing fencing. Russian fencers have qualified a full squad each in the men's team foil, women's team acute PE-acute, and women's team sabre by virtue of the top 4 national finish in the FIA Olympic team rankings, while the men's acute PE-acute team has claimed the spot as the highest ranking team from Europe outside the world's top 4. Meanwhile, 2012 Olympic bronze medalist Nikolai Kovalev and 3-time Olympian Alexei Yakomenko, along with women's foil fencers Ina Dereglazova and Aida Shalnareva, had claimed their individual spots on the Russian team by finishing among the top 14 in the FIA-adjusted official rankings. The fencing team was officially named to the Olympic roster on the 17th of June 2016. In regards to the doping scandal, the International Fencing Federation cleared all Russian fencers for competition. Men-Women Golf. Russia has entered one golfer into the Olympic tournament. Maria Virginova qualified directly among the top 60 eligible players for the respective individual events based on the IGF World Rankings as of the 11th of July 2016. On the 4th of August 2016, Virginova was cleared to participate in the competition. Gymnastics. Artistic. Russia fielded a full squad of 5 gymnasts in both the men's and women's artistic gymnastics events through a top 8 finish each in the team all-around at the 2015 World Artistic Gymnastics Championships in Glasgow. The men's and women's gymnastics squads, led by London 2012 uneven bars champion Alia Mustafina and bronze medalists Denis Abliazin and Maria Paseka, were named to the Olympic roster at the Russian Cup in Penza on 3 July 2016. The International Federation of Gymnastics cleared all Russian gymnasts to compete. Men team individual finals, women team individual finals. Rhythmic. Russia has qualified a squad of rhythmic gymnasts for the individual and group all-around by finishing in the top 15 and top 10 at the 2015 World Championships in Stuttgart, Germany. The rhythmic gymnastics squad was named on the 24th of July 2016, following the IOC's decision against a total blanket ban on the Russian Olympic team. Trampoline. Russia has qualified 2 gymnasts in the men's trampoline by virtue of a top 8 finish at the 2015 World Championships in Odense, Denmark. Meanwhile, an additional Olympic berth had been awarded to the Russian female gymnast, who finished in the top 6 at the 2016 Olympic test event in Rio de Janeiro. Handball. Summary. ET. After extra time. P. Match decided by penalty shootout. Women's tournament. Russia women's handball team qualified for the Olympics by virtue of a top 2 finish at the 3rd meet of the Olympic qualification tournament in Astrakhan. Russia women's handball team qualified for the Olympics by virtue of a top 2 finish at the 3rd meet of the Olympic qualification tournament in Astrakhan. On the 28th of July 2016, it was announced that the International Handball Federation cleared the entire team to compete in Rio de Janeiro. During the last week of July, the International Handball Federation conducted a doping test the entire team, with all of the members testing negative for any violations. The entire roster was cleared to compete. Team roster. The following is the Russian roster in the women's handball tournament of the 2016 Summer Olympics. On the 12th of August, Tatiana Yerokina replaced Anna Sedoykina due to an injury. View Talk head coach, Yevgeny Trefilov. Group play quarter-final, semi-final, gold medal match. Judo. Russia has qualified a total of 11 judokas for each of the following weight classes at the Games by virtue of the top 22 national finish for men and top 14 for women in the International Judo Federation World Ranking list of the 30th of May 2016. 7 members of the Russian judo team were named to the Olympic roster on May 31, with 4 more rounding out the lineup under the federation's selection based on IOC requirements on the 26th of June 2016. On the 4th of August 2016, the entire team was cleared to participate in the Olympics. Men-Women Modern Pentathlon. Russia has qualified a total of 4 modern pentathletes for the following events at the Games. Alexander Lisun and Donata Rimzite had claimed one of 3 available Olympic quota places each in the men's and women's event at the 2015 World Championships in Berlin, Germany, while Egor Puchkarevsky and Gulnaz Guy Baydalina added a second spot each to the full roster through the Euro European Championships. Maxim Kustov became the third Russian to qualify for the men's event in Rio, as a result of his world ranking as of the 31st of May 2016, leading to his selection to the Olympic team instead of Puchkarevsky. On the 26th of July 2016, Maxim Kustov was named as one of the athletes implicated in the disappearing positive methodology as part of the McLaren report on Russian state-sponsored doping, and excluded from the Games, along with reserve Ilya Frolov. Because of this doping issue, the UIPM decided to revoke the quota place held by Kustov and thereby awarded it to Ruslan Nakonniknijas of Latvia.